Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sherion and this is Passionate About Purpose. So, I am going to get right into the video because I have a long story and I do not want to make this longer than it needs to be. So, as you guys seen by the title, this is going to be my testimony about how I was in an unequally yoked relationship and leaving this 6-year relationship right before the wedding. So, disclaimer, this story, it has many layers. So I'm telling this one portion right now because if I sit here and tell everything, we're gonna be here all day. So I'm gonna just do this part about how God showed me, that I was supposed to leave this relationship and what that looked like. Because there's also the story about after what happened after the breakup. There's also how I met my amazing husband. So there is a lot to unfold. So that being said, let's get into this testimony tea, okay? So I have notes on my phone because I didn't want to forget stuff. And when I thought back about the story, I was like, it's not that much. But I was like, actually, it was that much. So this story. So basically, I was in a relationship for 6 years with the same person. I was in this relationship since I was 16 years old. So this was like high school sweetheart type of thing. We both ran track and field. We were together for 6 years. And when I was 18, I called myself trying to be grown. And since we were already like doing everything together, I ended up moving out. No, actually, no. I didn't even move out yet. I'm tripping. No, we were together since we were 18, and I started going back to church first consistently because we were at a church that was like down the street, so we would walk up there, but it wasn't like a church. It was different. That's another story. It was different. So I found my old church when I turned 18, and I started going back to that one consistently because that's where I felt like God wanted me, and I knew I needed to be in church. So I went back to that church and started going consistently, and I knew God at that point, but I think I just had like a shallow level of understanding. Like it was like the world's point of view of like, yeah, like when people get an award and they're like, yeah, well, I want to thank God, but don't really know him. Like I knew I needed him, but I didn't really know him, like if that makes sense. And so me and this guy, we went to college together to get our degrees, and we were both doing sports at that point still. I started running track, he's playing football. And so I'm 18 now, feeling grown, like I said, and I started spending the night at his house a lot more now because I'm able to be outside. I didn't grow up in a household where I was able to do that kind of stuff all the time. So now that I'm free, I'm out here trying to spend the night and stuff and be grown. And so that's when I was 18. So I turned 19. A few months after I turned 19, I ended up getting pregnant with our baby, and it was a girl, beautiful girl. And since I was already spending the night all the time, I ended up just moving in with him. And so not running track anymore, but we're living together in this relationship. We have a baby, and we're still in college. And so we got 2 degrees in college, but one of them was for Black Studies. And so in Black Studies, I think God showed me a lot of things, and that's another story. But somewhere in the midst, I started pushing back kingdom, and I was putting culture over kingdom. And I realized that I was doing a lot of things that I believed the world, said to be true, and not what God would deem as something that's okay. And so like, we're 18 and we're out here. I'm 19 now, actually. We're not, I never drank and smoked before, but we were still going to parties, all these different events and stuff, and things that I just think were not okay now. Like back then I didn't see anything wrong with it, but all these things were, coming out. And not to say that the relationship was perfect either. There was other things that was happening, and all these issues like normal relationships have, but um, I wasn't getting the hint. Like, I think God was showing me things through those situations to leave the relationship, and I did not, because I was already in this like culture mindset, like longevity. We're in the black. I got a baby now. This is the black family. We both are believing like we're about to raise our kid together. We're gonna break generational curses. We wanted all of these things. We're getting these degrees and stuff. Our kid's about to be educated and stuff. And so we really wanted to. That was something that was really big for us. We wanted our child to grow up with the mother and father in the home, as they should. And so it was a lot, because I would have so many days where I would feel just sad because I knew I wasn't living my life fully submitted, and I was learning more things in ministry, and I was doing more things, and I would just start to have all these dreams about the life that God had me, and I would see what had for me, and I would see my husband, and I would see us serving together in ministry together. And so, of course, I'm with this dude since I'm 16. It's now 3-4 years in. Obviously, this is about to be my husband, right? So, in the midst of this, I am pushing him, literally pushing him to be this person that he wasn't, to be someone that God, didn't call him to be at the time. And I honestly would say that I was becoming like a Pharisee to him, because I was like criticizing every single thing that he was doing, wanting him to do different things, wanting him to be better, wanting him to understand a level of understanding that I had that he didn't have at the time. And and so I would really be manipulative, trying to get him to love God, and I'm not his savior. That wasn't my position. I didn't know that at the time. I just like found this relationship with God, and I wanted him to see that too, and he would come to services though. He just wouldn't come like consistently. Like, he would come to events and everything, but it was like selectively. And the more I did that, guilt tripping him and everything, of course he didn't want to continue to come. And so at some point it just ended up just being me. And mind you, I'm taking my baby with me all the time. Revivals, I'm part of the praise team, rehearsals, services, all these things, Bible study, I'm taking her with me. And so at some point I was like, you know what, God, I'm gonna leave it alone, because I believe that this is what you have for him. So if this is for you, like, Lord, how we do. I was like, Lord, just do it. Like, do what you have for him. I want you to do it, because I can't do it in my strength. Saying all the things. Like, God, you do it. I'm gonna leave it alone. And so I left it alone. Our relationship continued. We still grew. We got our degrees together. We graduate and everything. And so I think it was after the graduation. It's now 5 years into a relationship. We're in year 5 now. And he proposed, and we're getting prepared to get married. And so I'm like, yep, God about to do it now. He didn't change his mind. He ready to propose, all these things. Like, things are lining up. Like, this is it. And I remember feeling like after getting proposed to, you start thinking about marriage. And I remember all the things that I would think about. And someone, like, our friends were asking, like, are you guys going to have more kids and all these things? And I remember, like, getting hit, like, man, Lord, like, we have more kids. I'm about to be taking 2 car seats and 2 kids and 3 kids to church and all this stuff by myself. Like, I had hope, but I was just like, but what if it doesn't change? This is about to be my life, because I'm not going to stop serving you. I love you more than I love him. I know that, but I want to be with him. Like, this is my man, so I'm trying to be with him, and this was hard, because I got hit with that. And I remember when I thought about that, it shook up a lot for me. And I remember moving different. I could tell that, and I think he could tell too, that my countenance was a lot different for a lot of things. Like, I think I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back now, the atmosphere that I created wasn't really good. Like, I was like sad, almost sad a lot of the times, or like given this like disappointed demeanor, and just like, because it's not the life that I wanted. And it was so unsettling, inside of me. And honestly, I felt bad when I think about it, because that was unfortunate, for him, like really, really unfortunate. But so time goes by, right? And it is a year after now. Like, we've been engaged for a year. We were set to get married in 6 more months. Yes, 6 more months. And I remember God shaking things up. Like, shaking it up. Like this last like the mark before the 6 months, out of nowhere, God started pressing upon me like so much. I knew that I was not supposed to get married, but I fought God so bad. I was like, no, like one, I'm not about to look stupid. There's people praying on our downfall, people that don't even want us together. Like, no, we getting married. Like I was fighting with God about this because I was having dreams, and I started having even more dreams as it got closer, and it was God like pressing upon me that this was not the one, you know. But at the time, I'm like, wait, what? Because I'm having dreams, and I kid you not, some of the dreams would show me my husband as a musician, and I was like, this nigga don't know how to play no instruments. But in my head, I'm like, you know, okay, God, like, what does this mean? And I knew what it meant, but I was really trying to fight it, you know. And so God would start having me. I was praying a lot about it too, and He would just start having me do all these things. Like He asked me, you know, to be celibate until the wedding, and now I'm seeing it wasn't for us to get married, but it was to expose something, you know, that the change, because I was having this hope that the change was going to happen, and I think it was for God to show me that this was not the one. And I remember Him being like, celibate for what? Like, we got a kid. Like, celibate for what? What does that mean? You know, and I really didn't even have an understanding of it. I was just like, yeah, we just not to have sex before the wedding. Like, you know, let's just go into a pure or whatever. And it was like, no, like that didn't even make sense. And so it would just go back and forth, you know, and it was a lot. And so, again, this is a soul tie, y'all. So for anybody saying like, just leave, like, it was not that easy. This is the only person I knew from 16 up to 5 more years. Like, that was a long time. And so the week that the breakup happened, this is still like, you know, the 6 months before the wedding and everything. This is the week before the breakup happened. And so on everything, y'all probably will think this is crazy, but God was not playing with me. God was pressing on me so hard, and I was battling hard this week. Like, I couldn't sleep. I was feeling weird every day. Like, I would have it. And out of nowhere, within this 1 week before the breakup, this man had like 3 close near-death encounters. Like, he had something happen with a gun. I remember he almost got drove off the road. Our car was parked. He went to the car, and right when he walked away, somebody totaled it, ran into it, right when he was right there. So it was like crazy stuff happening back to back to back. And I was like, Lord, what is going on? So I'm going to pray and stuff. And I remember God clearly saying, if you do not end this relationship the way I want to do it, I'm going to end it the way I have to do it. And your daughter is not going to have a father. All that stuff you want is going to be out the door. And I was like, shook. When I tell you, I was shook. And so I made plans for the next day. I was like, okay, Lord, tomorrow. You know, because it's never the right time. You never feel like it's the right time. But in my head, I'm like, all this stuff just happened. This holiday's coming. It's all these things, you know, that are happening. And so I planned it for the next day. And so I was struggling with it, but I prayed the night before because I was struggling bad. And so the night before, I started scrolling on social media, and I saw this video that said unequally yoked, but I didn't know what it meant, but like I knew I had seen it before, and for some reason it made sense, but it didn't make sense, you know? Like, I needed the clear context, so I clicked the video. Whew, the video had me bawling. So this is what the pastor said in the video. He was like, if iron sharpens iron, what doesn't sharpen iron? Wood. So that means, imagine if you have an axe and you have wood, right? And these two are in a relationship. The axe and the wood are just hitting against each other and hitting against each other. The iron will never be sharpened, and then the wood will become damaged. So this is dull and this is damaged. And I was like, oh my God, because we don't have the tools for each other. And I was like crying because I could clearly see that this man was the wood and he didn't have the tools to sharpen me because he wasn't trying to go the places that I was going. And me forcing him, I was like, I'm damaging him, just hitting into him and turning him from the person that God has for him to be as well. Because we love to see it like, oh, they were a bad person, all the stuff. He was a good person. He had a great heart. He's a great person. He's still a great father to this day. but he wasn't for me. And God's like, you're hurting my child, trying to force him into something that I have been called you out of. I've been told you to go. And so I was like, whoa, and I had to repent, and it was confirmation for me. But I knew that now's the time. Like, I couldn't even sleep. I tried to go to sleep. And so I was praying. I was like, okay, God, I'm going to do it. And it's, mind y'all, at this point, it's 2 a.m. I'm praying. And I remember God saying, like, do it fast. Don't leave any room. Like, basically, like, don't act like, it's going to, we need to take a break or whatever. No, like, make it clear. Cut it and stuff, because we have tendency to do that, and I remember him, and I was so scared because I was like, we are all we know, and God's like, if you are obedient to me, I will bless you and I will bless him. And I was like, okay, Lord, okay, I'm trusting you. And so I woke up, and it's funny because, like, I don't even know why this was the first thing out of my mouth, but I was like, do you even love God? I still don't know, but we ended up having a conversation and stuff, and we broke up. And it was hard. It was a hard night. Like, he cried, I cried. Like, it was a lot. But it was crazy because I remember something that blew my mind that he said. And he was like, I had known for a while, like, this was going to happen. Like, I knew. And it was just like, I was hoping that you didn't see it, but I knew it was coming. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, God was showing him as well as showing me. Like, he already felt it, And so it was really hard, and we never got back together after that, but we had to sit down and have a lot of conversations for healing, for forgiveness, and all these things. And we just had to make sure we were on the same page. And it was crazy even after, because there were some people that still was trying to force it on us, like people that we did respect that would like, no, y'all about to get married, come and sit down, and all these things. Like, they were trying to get us still to get married, but I was, I knew what God said, and I knew that it was time. And I was so glad that he understood, because that was like hard for me too. Like, dang, I'm about to hurt this person. Like, what if he's thinking all these things and I'm just ruining his life? So I was thankful for that. But it was so beautiful for me because I looked up now and I realized that God really kept his promise. Like, we're, how many years later? It's so many years later now, but literally God blessed us both. We wanted so bad to have a 2-parent household for our daughter to be raised by her mother and her father. She is still doing that. Our daughter has beautiful families. I am married. We have another baby. He is engaged. They have another baby. And all of our families come together. Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, he paying child support and he don't see his child. It's none of that. Like, we all hang out, literally. We have fun. The families come together. We all talk to each other. We're in group chats. Like, we all know each other. We have fun. It's like genuine fun. Like, we both share her throughout the week, and we talk. We literally talk every single day. And so I'm so grateful to God, because it could have been any other way. I see some of the relationships out here. It could have been any other way. And so it's a blessing, because our daughter now has 2 extra parents that are amazing, and I'm not good at a whole lot of stuff, but his fiance is amazing. And so she picks up where I'm like not great at. So I'm so thankful for that. But God was just amazing in that. And there's a whole nother story for the after part, which I will tell at another time, because I don't want to make this any longer. But I do want to say this, that God is amazing, and these testimonies are showing so much evidence of God. He showed me in this relationship that not only is he God, but he's my father, like my daddy. Like, I didn't realize that I had daddy issues, that I looked to this man in this relationship because he gave me that. He filled that void for me, and God's like, I want to be your father. So it was a lot of stuff that I had to learn through that relationship, and it was just so impactful for me to have that happen, and that changed the entire trajectory of my life. But I wish I had said yes sooner. I'm like, oh my God, like, if I had known it would be this amazing. God's like, I didn't need to show you all the pieces. Just be obedient. Like, just listen to me. And it could have been much worse. And so I'm so grateful that God really was so graceful in this process. And it wasn't easy afterwards, but it still was a beautiful journey, and I would do it all over again to get to this place. But I wanted to give this scripture before I leave, and thank you guys for listening to my testimony. But it's from 1 Corinthians 15. No, sorry, Hebrews. Hebrews 12:1. And it says, people live to exempt themselves from that line. Birds. Oh, no, sorry. Look, I am all over the place, y'all. Look, okay. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses who by faith have testified to the truth of God's absolute faithfulness, stripping them off every unnecessary weight and the sin which so easily and cleverly entangles us, let us run with endurance and active persistence the race that is set before us. Hebrews 12:1. That was a catapult for me. And we love to exempt ourselves from birds from a feather flock together. That is in all relationships. And I had that happen in friendships too, family as well. But this one was this soul tie relationship that I was in. There's no way that you can hang out with people and be around people that are not going the same way you're going without being pulled back or hurting them and pulling them back. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for that person, because as much as you think that they're a weight to you, you're a hindrance to them as well. So how about we practice iron sharpens iron? God says that for a reason, and I am so glad that God brought me out of that and brought me into something new, because he blessed my entire family. I have a whole family now. I am blessed. He showed me himself in so many different ways, and I'm just grateful for that. So this is my testimony of being unequally yoked. I will make another video about the after. I will make another video about meeting my husband and how God showed me that he was the one. That's a whole nother story. But y'all, I thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment under. Give me your story. Tell me something. If you have any more questions, I'll answer those as well. But that was just the first version of what happened. So thank you guys. This is Passionate About Purpose. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys.